Hello again, it's Noob, and today let's talk about bike locks and crime. Yep, this lock was given to me by my friend Ben, and you'll notice that it in itself was a victim of crime. And lucky that the bike itself wasn't stolen, although it was being stolen before the perpetrator was chased away. My friend Ben, who owns this lock and knows I'm a lockpicker, was having a quiet pint in a pub, had locked his bike outside using this lock. A youth with a cordless disc cutter only spent around 20-30 seconds just cutting through this 14mm hardened steel shackle, and was fortunately chased away by a bystander, leaving the bike and the cut lock in place. And this is why I have it now. And you might be thinking, well, don't you do lock picking videos? Isn't that in itself, adding to the crime wave? Well, not really. And it goes a bit like this. Dedicated picking tools like this take quite a long time to learn to use, involve a lot of skill. They are relatively hard to come by, etc., etc. When you actually look at how bikes are stolen, they're usually stolen by means that anybody can guess at or knows about, for the most part. I've taken some pictures over the years of examples just because I was thinking, I'll save them up for a video like this. So one of the most common ones that I see in the city that I live, which by the way is number 4 in the country for bike crime, I've just found out, is where people have used cable bike locks, because they are incredibly easy to cut through. I've seen these cut through bike locks everywhere, and I could not recommend anybody use them apart from a dire emergency or locking up something incredibly valueless. And other ones I've seen is twist attacks, where people are actually so desperate to get hold of a bike that they will twist the lock off. I've seen it both successful and unsuccessful. I've also seen, strangely, a combination of where somebody's used a D-lock for a bike, which was it was opened using an over-torquing attack on the core, but the bike was also secured by a cable lock, which was also cut. So in the UK alone, around 400,000 bikes a year are stolen, and in the USA, around 2 million bikes are stolen per year, which is absolutely crazy. And we know that nobody's going to be lock picking your bike lock. It takes too much time, skill and effort, training and all that kind of stuff, especially when you've got bolt croppers and cordless disc cutters, which will do the job incredibly efficiently and require no skill. And it's just what can we do? Well, there are some options. Probably the cheapest but not the best option is getting something with a chain. You can get chains which are incredibly thick. This one is around 8 to 10 millimeters in diameter, but you can get 16, even 20 millimeter hardened steel chains if you look out for them. Why is this better? Well, it's harder to cut something moving with a disc cutter. The only downside, of course, is if you want something with a really big chain, these get heavy fast. And they're not totally perfect. Something like this Kryptonite Cryptolock will cost around £50 or $60 US, compared to something like this. I'd call it sort of a mid-range D-lock. This Kryptonite Evolution, which has a 14mm steel shackle, weighs 1.6 kilograms, around £3 in weight, and this costs £40 or around $48 US. So you could sort of get something a little bit heavier, a little bit harder to cut, something like this. But now on the market are even better options. Some of them are truly innovative and fascinating. So we have Lightlock, who brought out the X1 and the X3. Both of them have super hard ceramic composite material in their shackles. The X1 weighs about 1.7 kilograms or 3.7 pounds, and whilst it's pretty good in terms of its size and everything, compare the cost. Something like this will cost £40, or 48 US dollars. The Lightlock X1, even though it's got really good anti-cut resistance, is around £149.99 or 181 US dollars. So we're talking, quite a lot more for one of the entry-level anti-cut D-locks. Lightlock are also bringing out the X3, which I have to say, I really, really like the look of. By the way, none of this video is sponsored by anybody, but yeah, this is really cool. So imagine that super hard ceramic composite material in a bigger version of that lock with a 19mm in diameter shackle weighing 1.7 kilograms or 3.7 pounds, and it has an Abloy Sentry lock, which I think is absolutely amazing, and that is going to be around, at the time of filming, £279.99, which is somewhere around that 340 US dollar mark. So that is a heck of a price, but I mean, it looks like a heck of a lock. Moving on from that, I mean, if you really like that thick shackle idea, have you ever seen the Altor, or is it Altor Saf? It's got an 80mm diameter shackle. So inside it's got a sort of 40mm hard steel shackle with a aluminium outer designed to stop a disc from being able to physically get to the internal steel shackle. And aluminium loves to clog up grinding discs as well. It is, however, and I did check this, but it doesn't seem right, 6.2 kilograms. That's 13.7 pounds in weight. So you do have a lot of security. It looks really cool, but it is heavy. So what other options are there? There is two more that I found, which I think are good contenders to stop this plague of people running around stealing bikes with disc cutters. The Hiplock D1000, which has a 20mm in diameter graphene reinforced hardened steel shackle, which apparently has very good anti-cut resistance, weighing at a reasonable 1.9 kilograms or 4.2 pounds. But again, that's going to cost you 249 UK pounds or 300 US dollars. So we're getting pretty expensive. The last one that I've found, and it's been over loads of different sites, and I can see why, really innovative, but possibly illegal depending on where you are, is the Skunk Lock. Have you heard of that? So it looks kind of cool with its black, white and red design. It's got a 24mm diameter carbon steel shackle, which within it contains pressurized noxious vomit-inducing gases. So if you cut into it, it will spray the perpetrator with these noxious gases, possibly inducing vomiting and certainly putting them off stealing your bike. That in itself costs around £148 or 179 US dollars. So somewhat in the middle of the ones we've been looking at in terms of price. The only downside is, depending on where you are, your location, it might be illegal due to various self-defense and booby trap laws. So yeah, there are some options to choose for preventing people bolt cropping and cutting your bike shackles. However, they are really expensive when you consider that most people will see a mid-range lock like this for reasonable money, for reasonable security. They might just choose to go for that, knowing that it's better than nothing, rather than choose an alternative which is many times more expensive. I can only hope that the prices of these anti-cut locks come down significantly to allow more people access to buy such locks and reduce, of course, bike theft. Although, as ever, bike thieves are usually one step ahead of everybody, and where we, stop cutting, they may move over to a whole different technique we've not even heard of yet. Anyway, I am a lock picker. I do have a lock. Shall we try to pick this? I think so. So here is the lock. It works very well with the key, which is a bit upsetting in a way because you think the whole actual locking part of this lock works really nicely. And it's only because some idiot decided to try and nick a bike that this whole lock is ruined. It's not a bad mid-range lock, this kryptonite, so if I can find a new shackle for it somewhere, somehow, then I might get one for it so it can be reused somewhere else. I like to, let's show you that key. It is a 7-disc lock, and you'll see that the cuts on the key are in line with each disc. So you've got disc 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Disc 1 is not 0 cut, as you'll see. Only discs 3 and 7 are. So we're going to have to tension off one, then turn the picking tool back on it to get it to work. This is the picking tool. It's the Sparrow's detainer pick. You'll see in this demonstration where I'm in the light, in the warm, on my desk with full control of the lock, with some skill and a lot of experience in picking these locks, why no criminal's going to be using something like this to actually pick a bike lock. It's just completely impractical and also completely pointless when you've got so many more efficient ways of stealing somebody's property, sadly. So yeah, there we go. We got our tool. Just pop that in, get some turning force on the core. Make sure that my tip can go relatively freely in and out of the lock, which means I need to position the pick at the right angle. Can be a bit tricky. Okay, we'll give that a go. Move forward a little bit so we've got good clearance and got some moderate tension on. Trying to find that first disc, which is here. Moderate tension, and listen, hear that click? It's a really good sign. Oh, I felt that slip into what I think is a gate around here, so I'm just going to try that again. It felt there, yeah. Okay, disc 765. 4. 3. 2. Okay. So they felt okay, but not quite solid. So I'm going to go back through now and try and pick up on each disc in turn, in and out of what I think is a gate, and I should feel firmer for each one now. Yep, feeling those a lot better now. Three, 2, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so once I think I've got everything about right, we can test it by holding disc 7, the tip, and then turning this whole lock back to try to pick disc 1 and see whether that has worked by turning the lock. So go. Try and get onto disc 7 again. And, oh, have we opened it? Yes, we just got it. Look at that. That was touch and go for a minute. I thought it wasn't going to open, but here we go. And even this bit should come out. So sad that somebody would do this to such a new lock, really, I think this was. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you enjoyed us exploring some options for better bike security as well. I really wish I had my hands on some of these locks, especially that Lightlock X3, which just looks really, really fabulous, but a little bit beyond my budget. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like. If you have any comments, leave them below. If you've got any other choices for good bike locks or security, leave them below. I do read them all and reply to as many as I can. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.